Okay. Hello, everybody out there in the
Hi!
internet. Welcome to Aimless Babble episode 424. I'm Chrysanthemum's Ticket Master, joined by.
I just can't, man. I just can't. RPG Maniac 05 is like every single week Tekken.
Oh.
Every single week. What the crap was that? Like, you go from like overly excited and then you move into some weird jazzy voice. Like, you. Oh my gosh. Sorry, listeners. We're gonna get this right one of these weeks, because eventually. But until then, welcome. Welcome to our disorder. Yeah. Go team.
Did you say who your RPG?
I did. I think. Because.
Did you say who your
Boss here
archetypal?
for some reason, I guess.
did.
Oh, okay.
So, we're all here.
So,
All of
so yeah. What you been playing? We got some of that. We got some game. Was it gaming turn-ons? Is that what it's called?
yes.
They'll explain. That's totally not me. You're like, oh, take another weird category. Oh, weird topic. What you do? Oh, you're so weird thinking that. That wasn't me, dudes. Totally not me, dudes and ladies. Just saying.
No one even said it was.
I'm just saying. You know, people are probably like, oh, it's probably one of Tekken's one. His orange glowy spot that he likes to touch so much. Ho ho, yeah, whatever. Or that likes to get touched on. Ho ho, you weirdo. But it wasn't me this time. So just want to say, you know, full disclosure, totally not me. Totally not Tekken's idea. Got some mini RRR maybe or not. We'll see. And the news, like usual. So yeah. Okay. So,
Swimmingly.
Just a mess. Just a mess.
I can't help it. It's like the intro is like the intro, and then it's like
Yeah,
I'm
but
like
why would you
setting it up,
decide
and then I'm
this,
supposed to like be
at
the
the
second
last
person, and then
second?
it's just like I deliver it to crickets, and it's like awkward silence. I can't help but laugh, and it's just like, well, another train wreck intro, Aimless Babble Z edition. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's like you don't make those kind of decisions like right before you're going to do the intro. Like those kind of things you warn us about, and it's like, oh, by the way, guys, I'm going to do something weird with the intro this time. So
You said to be
here
loud,
we
so
go.
I had to be loud at the beginning.
Oh my gosh, you could have told us during the pre-show then, genius. You didn't have to go and just be like, haha, guys, surprise. Surprise. If it's not sexy Tekken, it's overly excited Tekken. It's just, or robot Tekken. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. I just don't understand.
So what have I been playing? I've been playing not a lot of things. So yeah, just the usual, I guess, you know, just I mean, it's kind of unfortunate, Monster Hunter World. I've only been logging in to get my free stuff every day. I haven't actually played it per se, and I missed out on the Archipreneur Gigante, and he's still there unless he's still there, but I don't think he is. I don't know.
There until tomorrow for us.
Oh, so there's still time to jump in and get destroyed by him. But yeah. Besides that, also the daily thingy on Gran Turismo Sport, and apparently I've gotten to the 100 hours driven time, which is weird because it's like it says I played the game for like 70 hours, but I have like 99 hours of drive time, and I'm like, does it not like shouldn't that be
Calculate
around the same
differently.
time? Because it's like whatever, I don't know, whatever. So that's weird. I was like, whatever, dude. So yay to that, I guess. I tried playing some online yesterday, and I was like, dude, it's still impossible to win. So that's never gonna happen. So yeah, that was a nice pipe dream while it lasted, and I was like, oh, well, I guess, well, at least there's offline play, so I can pretend I'm decent at this game and not play humans and get destroyed. There's also some Destiny 2 stuff, but I'm not gonna talk about it because after that game. So yeah,
Talk about it.
that's okay.
Tell the listeners how you've been lying to us for weeks.
Did I not?
Oh,
Did I not
I
mention
quit.
this last week?
I
Did I?
quit Destiny, guys. I'm
okay.
never gonna play this game again.
Long story short,
I'm also a liar who lies,
you
because
know, the Revelry event happened, and I was like, oh, I'm actually going up like in levels pretty fast here, and I just kept playing, and then I got the Arbalest, and then I was like, that wasn't so bad. But then it's like I kept playing, and then when you get to like 10 to 20 levels away from the cap, not as good, because it's like the drops that you need you're not getting, so it's not like everything you get gets you up there. So it's like, oh, like the closer you are, it's like it's even. It's like it's like that part in Daredevil when Alzie's all like, oh, closer to the summit, the harder the wind pushes. So it's like it's one of those. It's just like it's all RNG, and like the RNG is terrible. The air quote smart loot system is effing garbage and broken. So it's like, oh,
Well,
so
maybe it is smart. It's smart enough not to give you what you want.
it's, it's like not only was it never fixed and working, it's always been broken. So there's that. Also, a quick anecdote from Iron Banner, since it was like a whole thing. They did this thing where it's like you could get the Iron Burden, this debuff where it like gets you 500 power levels even lower, and then like they had this thing where it's like if you get like 5,000 or some ridiculous number or 2,500 kills with that on during Iron Banner, because you'd be like the lower level than pretty much everybody else, you get an emblem. And so every now and then, occasionally, you'd run into people that were like super low level, but then it's like the things they were doing were super cheap and like killing me in one hit, and I was like, this is very infuriating. So basically, anytime that happened, it would either be someone that was a Titan running around shoulder charging or doing whatever shoulder charge on whatever subclass, because it's a one-hit kill, which is garbage and cheap and crap, and I'm really angry that they added that back in. So that was really annoying. Didn't know this because I hadn't been playing Crucible, so the Jotun exotic fusion rifle also one hit, and that was like super annoying too, and just like I kept getting hit by it, and it's just like it's really annoying. I hate that gun.
Although most fusion rifles usually were like kind of one-hit-ish, right? Because they're like super shotguns, basically.
But
It's just that charge
it's like
time.
a long-range fusion rifle with like a like some sort of like weird homing mechanic. I don't know. It's just like
Oh,
it's
that doesn't
if
sound fair.
if you've been hit by it and you know what I'm talking about, like you can just like turn a corner and someone's just like sitting there with like waiting for someone to turn a corner, or just like they'll just like randomly shoot it because it's got a ridiculous area of effect splash damage too. It's like there's a lot of collaterals from that too.
This
where I
sounds like
kept
a lot of.
dying
I was
from
just
it, and I was just
a
like,
lot of
man.
effects.
And then like people that weren't lower leveled with it was like also annoying because they'd be using it and then they didn't have the debuff for it. Like they should, not be killing me one hit. So it's like if I'm an even playing field with them, it's even worse because it's like, oh, it's like one hit and they're still like not lower level. So obviously, it's not gonna like negate the damage from the power differential that's there. But since they're up to my level, that takes that completely out of the equation. So just a bunch of people using that. There wasn't a bunch of people, but there's like enough of them for me to be like, I hate this weapon even though I don't have it. So F that gun. And then also just the people that would like crouch walk and just like sit somewhere with like a sniper rifle or a shotgun or whatever, because when you're crouching, crouch walking, you don't jump on radar or you're very hard to detect. And it's just like I would turn a corner and like be one shot, and then yeah, not a fun time. F Iron Banner, F Crucible. I was like, I know what I know. I never play these modes, and only when it's like something like Iron Banner where I can like get powerful drops to go up the power levels fast. But I did end up getting my Hunter and Titan decently leveled because I wanted to get the full armor set. And like when you do all the Iron Banner bounties, you get like a specific armor piece for each bounty. But then I had used all the tokens that I got from my Warlock when I was doing that to get all the armor pieces, but I just needed the class item on the Titan. So I was like, well, I might as well just like play the Titan and then see what I can do and get it. So I did that. And then I ended up being bored though and like not having anything to do, so I just did most of the bounties on the Hunter and Titan and then getting decent drops as well. And I was like, well, there's a lot of power drops I'm getting, so might as well just take this time to get them up to like 680, close enough to 700, but like not too high to where, or like to the point where it's like I'm not gonna have to worry about it because it's just not worth it because it's too much of a hassle and pain to like grind it out the rest. And I was like, high enough, good enough, whatever. And then made some progress on some exotic quests that I hadn't done, and then I need to do Shattered Throne, which isn't gonna happen because I need to like ask for help for that, and I'm just like, I'm over it, so it's whatever. Haven't done the Outbreak Prime thingy, even though I have that like queued up and good to go. The Thorn bounty, oh dude, or the Thorn quest. I got that to like the next stage, and there's like a bunch of grindy garbage, and I was like, done, not doing it, and then just yeah, that happened a lot of things. And I was like, well, guess I'm done, and then I logged out and done, and yep, yeah, Thorn, yippee, whatever. Oh, and then
like
also, I got my
reason.
warlock through the quest where like you're supposed to side with the Vanguard or the Drifter, and I sided with the Vanguard because after the Drifter, he's like, you know, he's too shadowy and like untrustworthy. But then it's funny because like you play through the thingy, and it turns out he's actually not that bad of a dude. And like, you know, maybe I was wrong onto the Drifter, but if I do side with him, I'll just use my Titan, and then I will secretly just be like a double agent waiting to like backstab him at like.
So you'll
places
even be
people.
lying in that game, huh?
Of course,
Just lying everywhere.
That guy has some interesting stories to tell, 'cause he's like back in the Golden Age, or not the Golden Age, the Dark Ages, or whatever. When it's Destiny, whatever, doesn't matter. But like, you know, he tells some really cool stories from the Clops, and just it was actually really, really bad, and like you don't really have any idea before you start talking about it. It's like, maybe the Vanguard is wrong. Maybe they've done some bad things and collateral damage and all that stuff, and it's like, did not know that. I kind of changed how I feel, but then I am chaotic good. So it's like, you know, kill one to save the rest, and like, you know, sometimes you gotta break a couple eggs to make that sweet juicy omelet, and you know,
Omelets aren't juicy.
and do all that stuff. So I thought that was neat. And then all the stuff that's happening with the emissary of the 9 and all that stuff. That's interesting, but it doesn't really move the needle to where I kind of care to play as much as I've not been playing. So, good luck with that, Bungie. So, yeah, and that's all I've been playing.
Are you sure?
Yep.
I actually wanted to play Destiny this week. I wanted to play lots of stuff. All of the games as services that I have, but I didn't do any of that.
Oh.
Surprise, surprise. No, I ended up playing Dragon Ball Fighters, which I've had for quite a while, and I was like, okay, I want to see this game now. And so I popped it in, started playing through the story mode. It's clearly, you know, that who are they? Arc System Works, right? Guilty Gear. It is clearly their work, and it looks really, really good. And the super moves are, in a way, they remind me of Mortal Kombat because of just like in the comics when they do these moves, like, well, that guy's dead, and then it's like, oh nope, he's fine. Let the fight continue. But yeah, just like in-fight over-the-top set pieces are just very fun. So far, haven't gotten tired of them. Like, you can do things. I think the first Injustice had this, where you could knock people off the side of the stage, and then they would go to a different part of the stage. Same thing with Fighters, except it has to be like a KO move. So it's a 3-on-3 game, and if you KO a guy on a stage that has multiple different stage areas, then he like flies through mountains and like destroys the mountains, and then is just like knocked out somewhere out there. And then another guy, you know, your next opponent, flies in with you, and everything's just like it looks really fantastic. The story is weird. It's one of those stories I think that only works in games, because it basically you play you in the game, as in the person holding the controller looking at the screen, and the characters will occasionally look out of the screen at you and talk to you and say, "Oh, you need to help us." Because I guess like the fighters lost their powers or something, and you're somehow linked to them, and so they can't fight on their own, but linked to you, then they can fight. And it's like, sort of a meta thing going on here. Okay. And
Let's be honest, weirder things have happened in that series.
yeah, except they won't. Well, would they do that on the show, or
Probably.
they look out of the screen? It's like,
Everyone, raise your
hey,
hands.
you.
Give your spirit.
Everyone, raise your hands.
Basically, yes.
Maybe that would be kind of cool.
Even you.
Yeah, that might be kind of cool, actually. But yeah, I don't recall that from the show. What else is there to say about it? I guess they've released a lot of DLC characters after the
Isn't
fact.
Goku like 6 of the DLC characters or something weird?
He is. Some version of him is
Is
like
he?
a lot of the characters, yes.
Man,
Because there's original Goku, there's Kid Goku, there's like certain Saga Goku, there's Goku. It's kind of ridiculous. Insight Goku, whatever the heck that is.
well, all I know is that when you go to the arcade mode selection screen and you're like trying to select the different characters, like a lot of them are. It feels like a lot of them are grayed out because of how many DLC characters there are. Kind of reminds me of Street Fighter V, actually.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, I guess there's a weird part. So I've gotten very used to sort of Mortal Kombat style of story mode in fighting games. I think it's really cool, and it doesn't require a lot of other stuff. You know, you're just like playing fighting. You're just playing the fighting game part, and then in between, you're like entertained by story and cutscenes. Dragon Ball Fighters has a kind of like how would I describe it? It's not really a strategy game, but they give you a map for every chapter, and what kind of board? How do I describe it? So the map will have like a certain number of nodes on it, and then they'll be connected. No, that doesn't make any sense. Have you seen Chinese checkers?
Yes.
I think
It
so.
was that marbles game
Ah,
with
yes,
the
yes,
star-shaped
yes.
board,
Yes.
and it's like there are lines connecting each of the holes that the marbles can go in, and you can only travel along those lines, right? It's sort of like that. That's what the maps are like. And you get a limited number of moves per map to move around the board and like fight however many fights you want to fight. And each time you win a fight, you get, experience, and sometimes you earn new like stat boost. Like they would be equipment in other games, but they're not. They're just like the stat boosts in this one. And then so, when you're moving around the map, for each map, you kind of want to clear out all of the fighters that you can fight so you can get all of these things. But then on the downside, one, you have a limited number of moves, but two, the more you move around, some of the characters that you have to fight against, they will level up and become more and more powerful the more you move around. So it's sort of a balance, like you're trying to figure out what is the least number of moves I can make, but still cover most of the board so that I can fight all the bad guys and get all the experience and power-ups. Which is, I guess, like, I don't know if it's worse or better, but it's like a different way to go about a story mode in a fighting game. Mortal Kombat is like, oh, they took out all of this extraneous stuff. Or not really. They just like added cool stuff in between the fights. And then this one, they sort of added like a game, a different kind of game in between the fights. And at first I was just like, I think it would be so much better if it was like Mortal Kombat. But after playing some, it's like, there's sort of some interesting like strategic thinking that you can do here. So I don't know if it's worse, but it's different.
But that doesn't mean it's good. I mean,
I haven't, because of this sort of strategy game thing in between the fights. Like the fights take the story modes feels like it takes longer. So there's 3 different arcs I think of the story mode, and I'm still in the first one.
Yeah, it's like I think in Budokai 2 or 3 they did that with like a weird board game element to like go between the areas and the stages, and people didn't like it. I know I didn't like it, but I'm trying to think, was it 2 or 3? I think it was 2, but then maybe 3 because I remember playing it and I never played 2 and everybody didn't like 2 and 3 was like the best, but I'm like, I don't know. Maybe 3 was like the open world one because I think that's like the best one that I like the most, and it's like that was like the one I was like, yeah. So maybe it wasn't 3, it was 2, but yeah.
Yeah, it just reminds me of like the split between Doom and Call of Duty. Like they're both shooters and they're both fun in their own ways, and it's just sort of a interesting like divergence at some point where one was like, we're gonna do ultra realistic and you can only hold 2 guns because 3 guns is too heavy, and you gotta reload because of course you gotta reload.
Guns.
And Doom is like, no, you can hold 9 guns and some of them are humongous and you never need to reload.
Just like in real life.
Yep. Yeah, so right now I'm trying to focus on just Dragon Ball's fighters. And why is it called Dragon Ball Z, but the game is called Dragon Ball Fighters and not Dragon Ball Fighter Z?
It is called
Shouldn't
Dragon
the
Ball
other
Fighter
one
Z.
just be called Dragon Ball? No, it's Dragon Ball Fighters.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I mean, it's spelled with a Z at the end, but it's just Dragon Ball Fighters.
Do they ever
According
call
to
it Dragon
that,
Ball Fighters?
the Bandai Namco does.
I feel
Maybe
like
it's
in
called Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Well, like that's what it looks like. I mean, if the show is called Dragon Ball Z and not Dragon Balls, then why isn't the game Dragon Ball Fighter Z and not Dragon Ball or why is it Dragon Ball Fighters?
I don't know. You're asking too many questions. Instead of just accepting it and suspending your disbelief.
Never. I will question everything.
Ugh.
I'm pretty sure most people call it Dragon Ball Fighter Z Tropical.
So too,
Until
actually.
you said that, I didn't know people pronounced it that way.
You should go out there and listen to people
No.
because they're wrong.
I mean, obviously it's pronounced the same way as the show, duh.
You would think that. But yeah, I'm trying to focus on that one game, even though, temptation, all the other games. Then I finished 0 games, so that'd be not good.
Literally all the games. Literally all of them.
So yeah, pretty light week for me. That's the one game I've been playing.
Sigh. Well, so I've been playing Monster Hunter World, trying to kill AT Nergigante to no avail. Well, I did beat him once, but beyond that, it's like you would have to beat him multiple times because in order to do the armor set, you need the Nergigante tickets, and the way it works, it probably only gives you 1 per win, so that means you have to beat him at least 5 times in order to, get all of those parts, because masochism, I guess, or something of that nature. So I tried, man. I tried, but he is just, yeah.
Is it worse than Ancient Lushan?
I mean, it's kind of, he's he moves around a lot more than, I mean, the Leshen does, and he also, I mean, is far more aggressive, I guess, by comparison. I mean, the reason why the Leshen was so difficult because he has a massive health pool, and it's just like waiting for him to die horribly, but he won't. And it's like, why won't you die? It's like, because I refuse. So I just they're both annoying, but they both have their different reasons for why they're annoying. So it's like, ugh. 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 So, it's just he dive bombs all the time, and people keep getting in the way of said dive bomb, and it's just like, guys, get out of the way. Don't let him murder you. But they always let him murder them. They always let him murder them. So yeah, it just has not gone well, and now the quest is going to be over tomorrow, and I've only beaten him once, so that means I can't get the full armor set, obviously. So what's probably going to end up happening is like later on, once Iceborne happens, and I'm like super powered, and then go back and fight him and be like, haha, because they'll probably have stronger armor sets and weapons and stuff in that, and plus you'll have like the new claw thing where you can like semi mount them and attack them and stuff, and yeah, you can show him who's boss. But until then, you have to, I guess, just choose which of the pieces, I guess, that I want, and then just have that one. So I'll have to just get one that has like something that would be useful for me later on, so I could just use that as my as one of my pieces of my random sets, so I can fight other monsters and stuff. But Iceborne is coming later on in the year, so I don't really have to play, except for when they do their little events, I guess. But there's really not much else to do in the meantime until the expansion anyway. So I mean, I guess it's not dire to beat Nergigante if don't really have to. So, I mean, I guess there's that small solace. So, I'll just cry myself to sleep because I won't have the armor set, and it's fine. It's fine. It's all fine. So, yeah, and then I also worked on a gunner set that I'm probably never going to actually use. So, that's also done, just in case I ever decide to, look at a gunner set, because I have one now. But I never use bow guns. I have like several, and I've crafted plenty of bullets, but yeah, just haven't used it. And then that's pretty much it for Monster Hunter. But so Dauntless came out. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Which is kind of like a free-to-play take on the whole Monster Hunter series. But it's very like Monster Hunter Lite. So it's kind of like an even more accessible version of Monster Hunter World, basically. So it's kind of easier for people who kind of want that experience but don't want the like headache of Monster Hunter. So it's not anywhere near as complicated as Monster Hunter is, and they do have a lot of things that kind of make it a lot easier as well. So it's like like the monsters that you hunt are all listed under their elements, whether they're neutral, fire, and all this other stuff. And so you can just kind of like change your loadout based on that. And then even at the loadout screen, it does tell you like if your loadout is it tells you like your current power level of loadout based on the monster you're about to fight and how much of a threat level it will be. So you can kind of like alter yourself from there as well. So that's also kind of nice. And then crafting and everything seems to be a lot simpler. So it's basically just you just get parts and craft the crap out of stuff. But it doesn't seem like you need like different things from different creatures. It's like each of the creatures has a weapon that you can craft from them, and then that's kind of like their weapon. And then you just get a different one, and you can upgrade them as necessary, and you don't need like different parts and stuff. So it's very accessible for like people who are interested in that type of game but don't.
So once you have like one weapon, you can just like switch it to like other weapons. You don't need to like get another bunch of parts to get like the longsword versus the bow versus the lance and all that stuff?
Well, I mean, you have to. I mean, you have to keep getting parts to get the other weapons, but it's not like
Oh,
it's not like it's not like with Monster Hunter where it's like you need parts from different monsters to get said weapon. Like each
oh,
like
I see what you're saying.
you
I
can
see what you're saying.
like
So
you
you
can beat
don't
the
need
monster
like
once and you'll have enough
pieces
to get
from
like a weapon for him.
you don't need pieces from like a Rathian and like Rathalos on the same weapon.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that one monster will get you the weapon, and you can just upgrade the weapon. You can like increase the weapon's attack power from just continually beating the same monster because the monster will keep dropping parts for you to just use. So you can just yeah, it's really pretty simple.
Smooth.
Is
So you
is
don't have to.
are the like monster encounters similar to where like they all have like a tell and like similar patterns of attack and stuff?
The attack patterns are a lot simpler, more simplified compared to something you would see in Monster Hunter, and there's also like no like wildlife or anything around. It's basically like you go to
Oh,
the arena and then the monsters.
wow.
You have to find the monster and kill it.
It is pretty stripped
So
down then.
yeah, but say so it's a very like stripped down version. You have to worry about random like wildlife and collecting various things to craft other things, and it's very stripped down. So it's like it's a lot easier for people who kind of just want to jump in and go without having to learn the different systems. And it's like, oh, I need to gem this armor and I need to do this, and and even like their gemming system kind of works simply too. You basically just stick a core in there and then it's like active. It's like there's no levels and all this extra stuff there. You have to like get certain number of gems and pieces in order to make the skill more powerful or active. You just get it, and then if you want to upgrade it, you can upgrade it. If you don't have to. And it's like, yeah, it's very simplified. It's very simplified. So I think that'll make it a lot. That'll probably make it popular amongst people who have played Monster Hunter World and kind of like the more streamlined Monster Hunter experience as opposed to like OG Monster Hunter, where it's like you really had to like sit down and have spreadsheets and be like, I need this in order to do this, and I have to slot this, and I have to slot that, and I need paintballs, and I need to craft this, and it's like it's a whole investment. It's a whole investment. So so yeah, it's kind of a bit easier in that regard to kind of help people like along instead of having to do all this whole extra stuff thing. So. But again, it is free to play, so there are some of those free to play kind of like trappings where you they do
Yes,
have like premium
how do they
currencies.
try to get you RPG? Yeah, that's what I was thinking this whole time. Is how do they try to get you?
Well, so far it seems like it's mostly cosmetic things at the moment, which I mean is a good thing. So you don't have to worry about being like, oh no, I'm locked out of this. So it's mostly just like skins and like colors for your armor sets and stuff. So it's not something like, it doesn't seem so far that you would be missing out on anything. But for people who like those cosmetic things, like because there's like things you can get, like the entrances into the monster arena, like because they drop all the players off, and then it's kind of like them, like they show their entrances. So they have ones where you can drop in with cherry blossoms, or do like the little substitute ninjutsu thing where you drop in as a log and pop out of the log kind of thing and stuff like that. But it's like I said, most of this stuff is like cosmetic so far from what I've seen. There are like a couple of, I guess, crafting things that you can do that take time, but you can speed it up if you have the premium currency. But you can just wait as well. You don't have to do that. So there's that option. So it's so yeah, so far the free to play part doesn't seem as invasive as as you've probably seen in many other like free to play style games, where it's just like, hey, buy this or else buy this, so you're missing out, and buy this, have you seen this thing, buy it, kind of thing. So it's like it's a bit more subdued, which is probably intentional, since I mean the market is, I mean, was semi-crowded at one point, but then everything kind of died down, and Monster Hunter kind of just went back to being, I guess, the king of the throne for that style of games. Because I mean, at one point there was just a bunch of them. You had Tokiden, you had Soul Sacrifice, you had there were other ones that I forgot. You also have God Eater and those type of
Wasn't
things.
that
But
one on the Vita? Was it Chaos Wars or something? Something
oh,
Wars?
Freedom
Yeah,
Wars,
Freedom Wars.
yes, Freedom Wars. So yeah, at one point it was like everybody was trying to get a piece of the Monster Hunter pie, but yeah, they no sequels or things have been had except for God Eater, which was fairly successful on it in its own right. Um, has happened. So yeah, so Monster Hunter's kind of back on there, and then Dauntless I think is just kind of trying to cash in on that, but not doing it so obviously where it's just like, okay, I don't want to play this anymore. Everybody, I'm just gonna go back to Monster Hunter kind of thing. So it's kind of a nice little I guess break from all the thinking that Monster Hunter requires to just
Break from the theme.
mindlessly murder things without having to worry about monster patterns and scout flies and paintballs and crafting and what material you need to drop from this and the RNG and the desire sensor and different gems and decorations and all this other stuff. So I was just like, I can just mindlessly go in and murder stuff. It's like it's kind of a nice little break, and I mean I guess it'll keep me busy in between other games while I kind of just go in every so often to kind of play. But there does seem to be some issue with the servers at the moment. I don't know if it's because it just launched and then I guess a lot of people are trying to check it out to see what it's about. Because there's been times where I've dropped out of hunts. And then I couldn't like log back into the game. And then there was like one point where we're just like, oh, the servers are full, so the wait time is now 600 minutes. And I was like, well, that's not gonna happen. So, so we're about to go do something else. So yeah, it's so there does seem to be some growing pains, I guess. But at the moment, it's a cute little detour, and the art style's cool, so it's nice. But yeah, that's kind of a nice little break for now, but that's pretty much all I've been playing.
Okie dokie. On to the gaming turn on discussion.
Yes. Middle segment is about gaming turn-ons, which is not what you think it is. Although kind of. The other day,
Yay.
I was watching, I believe it was a making of video of something, I don't remember. And when I watch making of videos, they often make me want to play or watch whatever it is that the subject of the documentary is about. And I thought, I wonder what makes other people want to play games. If any of us here say boredom, then we are no better than the mobile group.
You take that back.
We are no better than the whole group.
Never be like them.
But yeah, so the question is, what are your gaming turn-ons? What makes you want to play games?
Wait, do you not have any sexy music to play over this? Missed opportunity, man. Missed opportunity.
I didn't bring any.
I mean, it's fine, I guess. I'm very disappointed, though.
You should do that, and then when we go to court, we'll just argue fair use.
Well,
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, well, like you guys basically don't read gaming news or anything like that anymore, right?
Technically no, but like on my phone, since I have that Google Newsstand thingy, like it'll like always send me new headlines of stuff, but I don't actually read the articles anymore because I get so many every day. And then like if I go to like the main app, I can just like scroll it, and it's just like headline. Like very occasionally something will be like, oh, that's neat, and like I'll click on it and read, but it's like, for the most part, it's just like. It's kind of cool though, because it just like sends it to me because it knows I'm interested in gaming. So it's like, here's a gaming headline. Like it sent me something about like Halo Infinity, and I was like, I don't like Xbox. Why is it? I was like, oh, it's gaming related. So it's like it just like when it's like just in general when it's gaming related, it just like spits it out to me. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I can just like keep in touch without even keeping my ear to the ground. So that's kind of neat. Or just like stuff on Twitter. It's like, but like I don't like actually follow any like actual sites like you said. So no.
So like, what makes you want to play anything then?
Tropical, geez, like obviously there's when an E3 rolls around or any trade event or trade show or any like hot trailer for a game drops, it just
So hype is one of your glowy spot touches.
wow, I really Chloe's spot touches.
One of the juicy glowy
It was
spots.
never juicy until you said it was juicy. That was
Well,
all you.
this is your life now, so
I always
hard.
said orange glowy happy spot or whatever, or orange
I
glowy
mean,
spot.
it sounds gooey the way you say it, so I just assumed it was juicy.
So it just has to produce light to be also produce liquid. Is that what you're saying?
No, because it's like orange, and I think of the fruit, and like oh, that must be or something. And so I mean, and then the way you use it, I kind of just assumed you're like touching you in your special place. So that kind of thing. So is that not right?
You can just stop. You can just stop. I'll just pull an RPG and be like, that's gonna have RPG. Just you can stop. You can just stop.
What I mean,
But
just saying.
when okay, well, going off of like stuff that's been announced, obviously there's that. But then wait, what did you say before RPG Tell? Like just derailed me on that. Like I was about to say something and then like now I can't stop thinking. Now I can't remember what I was gonna say.
Okay, well, okay, yeah. So it sort of makes sense when you see new stuff announced.
Oh, you said hype
As,
is just
you know, the
thingy
big
that,
trailer,
that that is
yeah.
like, okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, if it's something that I'm interested in, or it like not just hype in general, but like if it's something that is something I would gravitate towards anyway, it's like that's yeah, it's like yeah. So when I saw that Cyberpunk demo, like that to me is like right now at the top of my list because it's just like there's so many things in that game that like touches all my orange gluey parts.
See,
And I'm just like, oh, this setting is amazing. Like, yeah, I'm just that is my things, dude. Cyberpunk, dystopian, end of the world stuff. Peak humanity before the collapse. That's a thing, and then like all the sweet gunplay and loot and RPG elements and the story and like the branching choices. Changing things and having to be procedural like that. Oh. And it just looks amazing, and I can't wait for it. Even though it's like Valve time, it's on Valve time, unfortunately. So it's done when it's done, and that's like all they're gonna say about it. So, but yeah, that is one of them. When like you see something and it's just like a sweet trailer, and it's like, oh, I like where this is headed, or just like, oh, that's some really cool gameplay, or oh, that's some really cool effect or game element or idea that they showed. And it's like, like Tsushima, dude, like. There were like no button prompts in that game, but it's just like the vibe of that game of just like feudal Japan, you're a samurai, swordplay, chopping dudes up with the sword, just like stuff going down, end of an era, the Mongols are coming in, and you're gonna defend the homeland. Yeah.
kinky.
I guess if that's your kink, yeah, RPG. I guess that could be kinky. You're just all about defending the homeland. And that's what gets you. But that
RPG is just refreshing in everyone's minds. The title of this segment.
Basically, yes. Just so they're aware. Turn-ons, guys.
Well, okay, so like upcoming games is one thing. What makes you want to play the games that you have?
I think, well, like for me, I think, one of the things is atmosphere. It's one of those things where it's like if there's like certain tones, I guess, for games that kind of like it's like, ooh, I kind of want to play this because it's like if it's like all dark and weird and there's like because I mean, a lot of the games
Sexy
I've played,
plant ladies.
especially like sexy plant ladies, yes, which again was not really sexy. She was kind of being murdered, but it was.
Well, actually, it was like more of a ghost thing because RPG's all about the creepy, supernatural, ghost-haunted,
I do.
spiritual realm.
Now,
And the
that
lady
part of
that
that
will
is
walk
because
by you on
I'm
the street
like a
and be
huge fan
"Do
of
I
like
turn you
horror
on?"
movies, though.
But it's a
So.
trap, so don't answer.
Oh yes, if you say yes or no, either way you're screwed. So just say maybe. Say maybe, people. Say maybe. But so like I mean I'm a huge fan of like horror movies and stuff. So a lot of times like those kind of like dark, creepy atmospheres kind of like I really like those type of things. So but I mean obviously not every game I play is like horror, and I actually don't even like the survival horror genre, strangely enough. So it's I think it's just kind of like the setting and the tone of the setting itself, like how it's like presented. I guess if the developers kind of get like those like more, I guess I don't know how to describe it. It's weird. It's kind of hard to describe because like with the Souls series, it's like they kind of have like that kind of like creepy unknown thing going for them, so you never know what's around the other corners, and then there's like all these grotesque monsters and strange things going on and that kind of stuff, which is cool. And then I just I don't know, when if it's like a story based game, it is cool to have like I guess darker elements to it, so it's not just like all the usual tropes and everything. So I guess in that regard, like when you have like the environment or atmosphere that kind of like allows that, then it kind of it's kind of like interesting to play through those kind of worlds and enjoy those things.
Well, for me, it's all about, is this a single player focused story narrative fun time that we're going to have, an experience that I will go through and walk away from and be like, that was amazing, I will never forget this. Like Deacon St. John, like recently playing through Days Gone, like that was just one cool character of just like that dude. Not a lot of dudes like that because he is very much off the beaten path, not the straight and narrow, like everyday Nathan Hill, or not Nathan Hill, Nathan Drake, Uncharted, just a dude doing good things. It's like, oh no, he'll do good and bad things. It's like, oh, Deacon St.
I don't know. My Nathan Drake killed a lot of people. He killed a lot of people.
Yeah, but he also, was wisecracking and, down to earth and just not a jerk. And,
Except for when he killed all those people.
I'm pretty sure the context of when he did that RPG was like, he was under threat or attack and was, like, defending himself.
No, it doesn't make it any less murder.
Oh, so he's just, like, supposed to be like, okay, guys, I'm coming out, hands up, with my hands up, and then, like, don't shoot me, and then they shoot him, and it's like, oh, haha, we got him.
Or he could just not be a Temple Raider, and maybe you wouldn't have to worry about people always trying to murder him.
Oh, well, if you played Uncharted 4, you would know why he is like that, or why he is the way he is. They explain that. It's really good.
Oh, so they justify his murder. Okay, cool. Just making sure.
I meant the tomb raiding, not the shooting people thing. Jeez.
Mhm.
They explain why he murders.
It's like, oh, so that's why you're a murderer. I see now.
But also recently for me is like as far as games and like turn offs anyway. It's like if I see that it's just like a player versus player PvP situation, it's just like just shoot people or like you just kill people, or it's just like person versus person, teams of whatever, or 1v1 or just not as interested. Fighting games kind of get a pass just because like mechanically it is like, since it is like usually just like one person versus one person, and like you're just you and them, and like the mind games and like the matchups and like the knowing your character and your strings and like how to like your benefits and or like the pros and cons of a matchup versus each character and like the meta and like knowing all that stuff. It's like I'm still interested in that, even though like I'm not as into like the whole PvP aspect of games in general, like that's. And then just like certain games like Tekken, it's like I followed these games, like these characters in these stories like for so long that I just like I do enjoy seeing them play out to like what's the next part and like what happens. Like same with Mortal Kombat, it's like the whole it was going along and then they did the whole reboot thing and it's like, oh, that's cool, and then it's like, oh, what, Scorpion and Sub-Zero are at peace now? What, after 20 years Sub-Zero and Scorpion are finally not not enemies. What? That's crazy. And then just seeing how it goes, and like then like it's basically its own shonen at this point, because all the characters have like grown in age and like had children, and now their children are like having adventures, and it's just like a whole thing. So that's kind of neat the way that's happened in certain franchises and series. And I guess like on the other side, as far as like not story and character related, would be, I mean, I guess this is more of a recent thing with like the whole Destiny, Borderlands situation, is like the loot parade, as far as the or the loot breadcrumbs of just like, oh, I can get something better and cooler. Okay, what's you never know what's around the corner, and like there's always something to to satisfy my orange glowy spot, and be like, oh, what's this gonna do? Oh, what's this gonna do? Oh, there's an even better version that does this, and like, oh, it's like it's got these things that this property, and like, just like, and then like you can have a full array of just awesome guns that are just like your armor. It's like, oh, what's this thing do? Oh, what's this thing? Oh, okay, this does this to me, or like when I do this, it does that. Oh, it gives me health back and extra whatever damage and blah 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 blah, and just like the list goes on and on and on, because there's so many different properties that you could do to add to weapons or armor, and just like it's kind of like the same thing I said with the like the fighting game thing of just like the build that you run in the game, and like how you're going to use that when you're fighting enemies, and then like how it matches up against them in like whatever scenario. So it's like, okay, well, this is Void, Arc, Solar, or like whatever game, whatever element. It's like I'm gonna use this element or use these debuffs or these buffs, and like run this build. I've gotten very into that ever since Borderlands. I mean, I was probably already into that, but then like games have come out and just like been better at it, as at least on console. And then so just like jumping into games like that, and then just like making builds and doing that stuff, because even like Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, that was like always fun for me too. Is like having like like anti-armor builds and like anti shield builds with like shock damage and stuff. And then like when enemies are like unshielded, you can finally take them down, because that's like the way it was built in that game. So just so good, like damage over time versus just like straight up damage, or like this pure health damage, and like not worrying about the shields and blah blah blah. Just all those things, just like a deep tissue massage on my brain as it stimulates my glowy orange spot of like, oh, what's this do? Oh, this is just like the meta, and just like getting into the whole thing. The whole thing is just delicious.
I think I was more talking about like sort of immediate trigger, like you want to play after something.
After something like what?
Well, so like a simple example is occasionally, maybe you'll like see a video of someone playing a game that you really liked, and then you're just like, oh, now I want to go play that game. Like, why did you go back to Destiny this time?
Because I wanted to get the Arbalest before it was gone, and it was a limited event thing. But then after I read This Week at Bungie and saw it wasn't, I was like, well, dang it, that was not the case. But then it's a lot easier to get it that way versus it'll eventually drop randomly, which is like, pray to RNGesus on that one, because it ain't happening for like a while. So yeah.
So like that sort of motivation, but for something that you're happy to play. This is sort of like, I don't want it, but I do want it.
I mean, some people are into that sort of thing. Sometimes the pain is one of those things where like, I kind of like the torture. I like the pain. I like these kinds of things. I mean, that could very well be like a thing. So, I mean,
is it? Tekken?
No, I hate that.
I mean, you say that, but
more accurate, it would be.
Here
like
we go, Destiny.
like
Burn so good.
basically, yes. Basically, yes.
I think it would be more of the like limited time event thing, kind of like the whole when the not this recent spring festival, but when the Appreciation Fest was happening, and I was jumping into that to get all the layered armors that I hadn't gotten, and all the other materials I hadn't gotten for all the like stuff that's not always available to get. So it's like there's a limited time item, and I have to jump into the game to get it because it's only there for a limited amount of time. So that's
So
definitely going
loot.
to. Oh yeah, that definitely touches the glowy orange spot. Oh yeah, and then just if it's limited, that means you have to like be there then, or you're gonna miss it. So it's like oh.
I like a good flashy battle system. That kind of like that will always kind of like be like a thing for me. It's like no matter what, if it's something there, it's like you can do like these weird like kind of like set piece type things or like these over the top kind of battles are going on. It's always kind of a good time for me. So I enjoy those type of things. So if I see it, then it's just like, oh yeah, this is great. So it's kind of like why I like the Final Fantasy series, because I mean Square Enix always does a good job of like kind of making like putting like those flashy moments into their game and making these things kind of like kind of fun to watch as they are to play kind of thing. So it makes it kind of like a semi-cinematic experience at the same time as you're playing, so that's always fun.
Like, so would you be sitting around and someone would mention cinematic experience, and you'd be like, "Ooh, now I want to go play something like that."
Yes.
Someone's just gotta walk by and be like, "Flashy."
Where?
Tropical. I don't think I have a response to stimuli like that when people are talking about games. I'd be always like doing that. Like I'd always be like, "Oh, we just talked about XYZ. Let me go and play XYZ." So it's like, not so much.
I don't know, because like I guess it would depend on the game though, because like with some games, because like if someone's like playing something that I've played before and it's like, oh yeah, that reminds me of that time where I did this, and this thing. I was like, now I kind of want to play that thing again, sort of thing. I think it kind of, it may depend on the game though.
I mean, I kind of have that, but it's like never to the extent of. Or I think I just like have so much discipline now. Of, like when I'm playing something, I don't just like jump into something when I'm playing something already to be like, oh, let me satisfy this urge I have. Unlike someone I know, Tropical.
Monogamous. So,
I mean,
so really, nothing. Like you don't. I couldn't sit here and spout Tetris Effect praises, and you wouldn't want to go play Tetris Effect.
well, because nothing you would say about it would probably be a good trigger.
Like, it could, but it's not going to get me to that level of like I'm going to go play this when we're done podcasting. I mean, only if it's like I'm trying to think, because it's like in my brain, it's like I know I've probably done that after the podcast when we talked about something, but it's like very rare. I guess it's like it's not really a triggering effect of like I go and go play the thing after the discussion.
But that's because Tropical rarely plays anything long enough to provide those kinds of triggers. So it's like well.
But yeah,
So
like,
unless
so
it's
that's
just like
what
the
I'm talking
title
about.
of it itself, it's like, well, you've talked about this, so now I want to play this. Because actually, there was like, because when like something similar happened when Dagger and I were talking on Twitter about Final Fantasy 15 or something. We were talking about something, and then we went to Final Fantasy 15, and I was just like, I do want to play that game again now, because I forgot what she was talking about that made me want to do that. But then it's just like, it's just like certain aspects of it, and it's just like, I really did enjoy that game now that I think about it. So it's like I do want to kind of go back in there and try the DLC and those different things and stuff. So, I mean, I guess it kind of depends. Like I said, it kind of depends on the game, I guess. Is what would trigger it if I've already played that said game.
Yeah, because whenever we talk about Final Fantasy 9, like I want to go back and play that, but that's a long game, like dozens of hours long, so it's not just like, oh, I can sit down.
All of them are, so.
I mean, do you actually have to act upon them for them to be turn-ons? Like, because when I think about the things that make me want to play certain games, it's like basically so many things. I can be at the store and looking at like any games, like fighting games, and be like, oh,
this is
now I want to play those fighting games that I have at home because I should play them. Or
Well, yeah, but that's a different reason.
or I saw like they published a what's it called, Raising Kratos, like a documentary about God of War, and I was just like, oh, now I want to play God of War. Or usually like Assassin's Creed, if I see the new Assassin's Creed, I was like, oh man, now I really want to play whatever the
Why would you
previous
wanna do
Assassin's
that?
Creed was.
I don't think you have to actually act on the. I mean, the whole point of like a turn on is like something that kind of just turns you on, but you don't necessarily act on every impulse just because it's like triggering you. Otherwise, yeah, there's a lot of unfortunate implications in that. but no, I mean the idea of like the Eternals is just kind of like it makes you want to, not necessarily that you will go do it kind of thing. So,
So like, do you have those kind of triggers?
I'm pretty sure that was all the things I was talking about before Tropical.
But
I
for
mean-
like, for not new games, not a game you didn't know of, and then it's like, oh, this thing that they just announced has these things that I want. I want it.
Wait. So are we talking about new games that are just announced?
I'm talking about like, what makes you want to play games?
Oh, okay. So it's like definitely RPG elements, definitely for sure is up there. Loot, as you just talked about, it's up there. Focus on story and
Is a looter.
characters. What else besides that?
Right. I mean, it's more like, I don't think we're talking about the same thing. Because like you're listing the qualities that you like in games,
Yes.
turn-ons in the sense that you would see them in like a teen magazine, I guess. I don't even know if that's what's in there.
don't think that's how magazines work actually, unless it's a different type of magazine. So,
I'm talking more about like, I guess like triggers. If you're not doing anything, what makes you want to play games?
oh,
Is this making any sense? What I said earlier? Like, I don't look at the
so
new
like
game's
if you're just like,
qualities at
say
all.
you're just
It's
like
more-
out in public somewhere and you're like at a water fountain, and all of a sudden you're like, I want to go play that game now because like something triggered you to want to
Yeah.
play it, kind of thing.
like you saw someone skateboarding and you were like, oh man, I want to go home and play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
That does
I would
not
never have that
happen,
kind of-
Tropical.
That
Okay.
never happens to you guys?
Well, not about. I don't want to play
Not-
skateboarding games because I mean, ew.
But like
On a regular
that type
basis.
of thing.
That probably happens.
So
either
basically, what you're
very
saying is, it's
rarely
like,
or occasionally.
say for instance, I was like, just like at work or something, and then like I saw somebody cut something, and I'm just like, I need to go play that game that has a sword in it because I saw a knife, kind of thing.
Sure,
Is that-
yeah,
is
something
that what
like
you're-
that.
Trying to.
I mean, and it doesn't have to be like these sort of unrelated. I mean, not unrelated, but like what I was saying is like when they presented, oh, there's this documentary for this game, then I'm like, oh, I really want to play that game. I haven't watched the documentary. I just heard that they released a documentary, and it's like, oh, now
That
I
was
want to
a
play that
tweet.
game.
I mean,
not really. I'm pretty good on impulse control, so like I said before, so not really.
I mean, I don't know if I have triggers like that per se, but
Only if
I
it's
mean,
like a new release for a game or something, like a new character in Street Fighter, or like the revelry thing. It's like, oh, new weapon, limited, or time limited, like I was saying, but that's really not the same because it's in the context. It's not an out of context like random trigger thing. So not really.
it's usually mentioning a franchise I like would be enough of a trigger, but that, I mean, someone would have to be, mentioning it for it to be like a thing. So, but I don't really have any visual cues like that, I guess.
So, I mean, I guess for Tekken, like, you have all your old consoles too, right? Like, what makes you want to play them? What are the things that make you want to play them?
I'd never have like a spontaneous I want to go play them. I'm usually like trying to fit them into my schedule. I mean, sometimes it happens, but then it's like I don't know why. Thinking about it now, it's just oh,
Just
I
have
like
that
playing
urge
this.
for
Yeah.
nostalgia or something.
I mean, also like now it's kind of a pain to hook them up, so it's like it doesn't happen because I'm just like it's too much of a pain. So it's like
It's
whatever.
true. It is a lot of work. Just like, I already have consoles hooked up. I don't want to have to hook up more stuff. So, yeah. But I mean, sometimes just random urges because we're animals. So that's kind of how that works. Because that's kind of like how it's worked for like older games that I've always went back to, like Wild Arms, for instance. Like there was that period where I was just like replaying it every so often because it's just like sometimes it'll just that urge will just hit. And it's just like, you know what? I missed this game. Let me go play it, and then I would play it. So I guess I don't know. It's just the urge strikes, and you just like, yeah, I want to do this, and then that's how it goes.
So there's like no influencing factor that you can think of. It just suddenly pops into your mind. Oh, I want to play Wild Arms.
Basically, yes.
Usually it's like I'll be thinking of like what I want to play, and then I'll just like pop up and like, oh, there's that, and it's like, yeah, I could play that, and it's like, yeah, I do like playing that, and then just go to play it.
But at the same time, it has to have those certain qualities to make you want to do it. So,
Huh.
like animals. Like animals. So,
Well then, I guess this Triopticaling was brought to you by Trioptical, the only one who has this kind of situation.
you're weird. Just weird.
Yeah, it's just like everything.
Yeah, because like the way I am now is like I already know that I'm going to be playing. Because like right now it's like I finished Days Gone, and I was like, well, after I finish Days Gone, I'm going to jump into Division, so I can get in Division 2 or play through Borderlands chronologically before this third one comes out, so I can be all completely caught up and like just to recap it on my YouTube channel for all my viewers and just yeah. So I was like, I already like usually know like what the next thing is I'm going to be playing, so nothing usually pops into my head to be like, oh, I should play that. That being said, now I'm kind of like on a break because there's nothing coming out that for like a while, like just like play whatever. But I have like issues on my channel right now where it's like I I need to like get resolved before I get them. Cause I have a problem now where it's like if I play something I usually want to stream it and I don't want to like just play off stream. So unless it's Destiny, except that game, cause it's like whatever. So.
Because you love it.
Cause it's like I think I've done enough free advertising for this game. I don't need to bother with the pumping out the poison into the water anymore
Because you love
for this
it.
franchise. But besides that one, it's like I always want to be trying to get that ad revenue for anything I'm playing on my channels and stuff. So
So yes, Tropical, to answer to your question is you're weird.
Cool. That's why, yeah. That's why. That's why. Okay.
it's also why I'm glad
Well.
I'm quitting Destiny, because it's like I can be like, okay, well, what am I playing now, and not just be like I'm sucked back in every
You
every
said that
like a reset.
before.
I'm not playing it. I'm not playing it right now. I'm not playing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you told us last time. And you're just like,
I
LOLs,
mean-
guys, I've been secretly playing it all this time because I'm a liar who lies, who's addicted to Destiny.
Once the new season happens, we'll see. But I mean, I do also need that triple tap dragonfly scar from the drifter, so I need to like jump back in on some gambit, but I don't feel like it because I have that game mode too. So it's just torture. But it's stuff I could like do off stream, like when I'm
See, I
out-
told you, he's
at
into the
home
pain.
after work, and just like I need to
Into it.
my sociopathic urges must be numbed by playing something or something. What?
He likes the pain.
I do not like the pain. RPG. Shut up.
I mean, I'm not judging you.
I'm pretty sure.
Everyone's got their
I'm pretty
kink.
sure none of those times I was describing Destiny 2 as a S&M experience, I was like, oh, it just scratches that, it just stabs my glowy orange spot, and I'm like, yes, stab it more, keep
No,
stabbing. I
because
love the pain.
Tropical did mention how you say some things burn so good and things like that. I mean, you have a tendency to describe things like that. I mean, like I said, I'm not judging you, man. Everybody's got their thing, so run with it and enjoy. Enjoy your weird masochism, I guess.
All right. Well, I've kind of decided that RR would be better suited for a different thing, so we're just going to do a regular new releases thing for the upcoming week.
Just so wacky.
Regular, so wacky. So, yeah, we're going to go through releases.com. Hi, releases.com. Still using you. We're just going to look at the new games coming up.
So much free advertising.
I know. Does anyone use this site besides us? I guess.
They probably do now because they've heard us using it. They're like, we should probably check that place out too.
They are far from comprehensive if you're actually doing that, but it's pretty good for I don't know. I like the layout, I guess, and they try their best to have confirmed release dates and say, because they say confirmed on them, but as we have seen and we'll see this week, that not always the case. So here we go. Digital releases coming out next week. Something called The Last Door Collector's Edition. It is an adventure indie game. I guess it's like, it says it's a low-res, high-suspense point-and-click horror adventure. Winner of multiple Best Games of the Year awards.
That was a roller coaster ride because I was like, I like, as you were saying, so I was like, oh, I like this. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I like this. Oh, I don't like this. Just up and down there. Just up and down.
There's a pull quote saying it's a love letter to H.P. Lovecraft. So,
did he read the love letter? Did he return the love?
Is he alive?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure he's not.
Just
man, this game must be really old because one of the other pull quotes is from Joystick.
Oh.
You remember that site?
Yeah. That's interesting. But yeah, I mean, I like horror and I like adventure, but I don't like low res or point and click. Well, do I like point and click? I mean, I guess it depends on the interface that it's pointing and clicking. Yeah, I'm not. No, stop it.
If it has a pull quote from Joystick, was it low res back in the day, or is it just considered low res now?
I guess there's that too. But
there's a picture here. Oh, yep, it's low res.
So then, no.
By all standards.
By all standards. By all meanings of the word. So yeah, no, I'm good.
So that one's coming out. Oh, apparently that came out today. So you can check that one out.
It already exists if you're interested.
May 24th, a game called Dollhouse will be releasing. Ooh. It's an action-adventure indie game.
Is it horror?
It's, let's see, entirely new take on the horror genre. Randomly generated tile allows player to craft their own experience by letting them choose what path they take based on items collected throughout the world. Recordings are found and players can choose to listen or ignore. You are also being hunted by your own conscience.
Interesting. This sounds interesting. I do like horror. We just went over this. I do like it.
The screenshots are very dark. I guess that makes sense because it's a horror game.
Oh my gosh. That might be touching my close spot.
It's being published by Sedesco and was developed by a team called Creazn. Creazn.
Have they made anything else?
Not that I can see. Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, now I don't know. I don't know, man. It sounds interesting though. Kind of curious.
Um, hold up. It froze a bit. Oh, there we go. And then also on May 24th is a Super Tennis Blast for
No,
PS4.
just no.
No, arcade classic.
Just no.
Indie sports.
Just
Okay.
no.
Sorry, sports fans. The big one, I think, next week is on May 28th. Blood and Truth coming out for PSVR.
I don't do VR, so that
You're
goes
Mark Ryan. You're Ryan Marks. Brutal gangster experience set in London. Apparently, like the reviews are saying that this game is way bigger. It's a way bigger VR game than any of them thought it would be.
In what regards, though?
Just like, VR games tend to be, if you played any VR games to the end, like they tend to be sort of short experience type things. Otherwise, they're like things like Skyrim ported over. So I'm assuming it's talking about that. Like it feels not like an experience or a tech demo or something. It's like a complete VR action
Pretty
adventure.
much stuck in there.
So that is very exciting to me. I don't know, Tekken, are you gonna get Blood and Truth?
Yeah.
The next
It was the only
first
game
party VR game.
because I was like, oh man, I'm free of getting any games this month. I can save money. I mean, I still was able to like save money, but it's like, oh, I was like, I'm completely no games. I'm coming out this month. I'm gonna get it, and it's like, oh, that game's out. Dang it. So it ruined my Tekken's free month of no games.
I'm sorry.
So we'll quickly glaze over the other release, May 28th, Cricket 19,
No.
which is Cricket. And then there are a few more here. Lapis Labyrinth, or Lapis X Labyrinth? Lapis Cross Labyrinth?
Oh yeah, I saw that one. It's like that stacky, the when you stack your party and go on a dungeon crawling adventure, all whimsically and stuff. I think I was actually going to pick that up. It's kind of cool. Kind of cool looking anyway. I saw the trailer.
Yep. Action adventure RPG coming from NIS America. Deploy it. Keeping, 4 adventurers. You can flip between them on the fly, deploy their individual attacks while keeping them all on top of your head. So that apparently will also be coming out on Switch.
It looks adorable.
Then something called Crystal Crisis. It's got Astro Boy on the cover.
That's weird.
All-star cast of heroes has gathered to test their mettle in Crystal Crisis, a cute and chaotic new color-matching combat game for Nintendo Switch. Although here it's listed for PS4.
Oh.
It's presented like a one-on-one fighting game, but instead of pressing buttons to kick and punch, players arrange falling gems into matching colors to clear them from the screen and inflict damage on their opponents. Oh, so it's like
it's like those
like
puzzle and
fighter.
dragon games and stuff. Yeah.
Seems kind of cool. Maybe.
What was it again?
This one, it was called Crystal Crisis.
So you probably match crystals
Presumably, yes.
since it's like puzzle fighter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, looks like it. This one is called Unruly Heroes, PS4, Switch, Xbox One, and PC. Inspired by famous Chinese legend, A Journey to the West.
No.
Take on
not
an
again.
unforgettable adventure in this visually striking action game for up to 4 players.
4 players, you say.
This action
What is it,
adventure platformer.
What is it, like a couch co-op thing, or it's like online stuff?
I think it's it could be both or either, because it shows like all 4 characters on the same screen, and it's like it looks like a side-scrolling like 2D platformer.
Oh.
Maybe seems maybe kind of cool. It's coming from Magic Design Studios.
Oh.
Oh, and then this is the one. I'm pretty sure we read 10 words from this one previously. Golem Gates.
Did we?
Now it says it's confirmed for May 28th. I forget exactly what I read. This is a different description.
Oh.
But I guess it's like an indie RTS card game.
Oh, you may have actually, because that sounds slightly familiar.
Ancient warrior machines spawn from the Golem Gates, while an unseen force compels you to take up arms, wielding the power hidden within the ash, in quotes. You'll battle the golems and unravel the mysteries surrounding their long-lost creators.
Hmm.
I don't know.
But I mean, I like what's that thing called? I like RTSs, I guess. I like card games, I guess. I mean,
So maybe.
I like things, I guess.
And then the last one for May 28th is Layers of Fear 2.
Oh. Oh dear.
Adventure indie game. The cameras are all focused on you, the center of the scene. Not just in character, you are the character. The part to play is singularly yours, written just for you. You are met with silence, no barking orders from the director, no call to action that you need to become this version of yourself. The demand to act fills your mind, but the script pages hold no words. I don't know what I'm reading.
I just wanted to say, I was like, what's happening
Your
now?
past has helped to mold you into what you are, forced upon you the skills required to hone your craft. That same past has scrapped deep, furrowing scars into you, not on the outside where the world can see, but in a place buried so deep within that it has become shapeless. You push those memories down, but let the experiences drive you into who or what you must play. Darkness surrounds as you stand silently in the spotlight. The only sounds to be heard over your heartbeat are the distant breaking of waves against the hull and the sound of cameras pointed in your direction, preserving this moment for eternity. A deep and commanding voice rises from the distance. Act. What will you play?
So do you just like
Do whatever you want.
I just wanted to say, I was like, how does this game work?
I know the first Layers of Fear was like it had something to do with a lady painter, and there was like, paintings and horror stuff. They turn crazy looking, and it's all scary and things. I don't know.
Well,
From that, it seems like it's kind of departure, and possibly takes place on a boat, because you hear waves
Possibly,
against
yes.
the hull.
Possibly, yes. I am curious, though. I am curious.
Well, that's Layers of Fear 2. I think Layers of Fear 1 is on sale right now. On the that totally digital PlayStation Store sale.
Hmm.
Yeah, good stuff on
yeah.
sale with that.
Yeah.
So I almost bought what's the game where it's like if every time you move the enemy moves? It's like it's VR and it's also normal. It's like the weird simulation because it's like a part of a game thing.
Oh, Super Hot.
Yes, I almost got that. I'll probably end up getting it before the sale's over because I want to play it. So because it's like the normal and the VR version, and it's like $20.
Yeah. Nice. So those are the releases coming out next week. Some cool things. Blood and Truth, yeah, I think is definitely the big one. Or is it Cricket 19?
It's not. It's definitely not. I can just tell you that now. Just tell you that now. It's not.
Right then. On to the news. So there was a few big stories this week. The first one, Sony and Microsoft are exploring a strategic partnership that they announced on the, I guess, the Microsoft News website. Essentially, the two of them are going to explore joint development of future cloud solutions in Microsoft Azure, which is, I guess, their cloud, and develop like AI and semiconductors together.
Okay.
So yeah, from what I understand, is Sony has been building their own PlayStation Network using Amazon's cloud service, and to this day, people still complain about it. And I guess, and also the other side, like they had to build their own infrastructure for PlayStation Now, which was like based off of their Gaikai purchase, however many years ago. And, you know, that's going to be expensive. And so with this agreement, I guess they're going to move all of that stuff onto Microsoft's cloud. They don't have to worry about building out infrastructure anymore. They're just going to use Microsoft cloud services, and I guess it'll all be better. It makes sense, I think, because if Sony was to do it alone, I mean, it's really hard. It would have been really hard. And, you know, with Google jumping in with Stadia soon, like there may not be time. If the two of them don't work together on this, maybe none of them get any piece of the pie and it all belongs to Google in the future.
Oh my. That would be bad.
Yeah, I think that's what they think. After this news report came out, a bunch of sites reported that PlayStation was surprised by this announcement. Apparently, they didn't know about it. So, most places just reported that PlayStation didn't know that Sony and Microsoft were going to do this partnership. Because it was all figured out above the PlayStation division, level within the company.
Oh.
Eurogamer is saying that actually many people in Microsoft didn't know about it either.
Oh.
And so, you know, Xbox and PlayStation being divisions of larger companies, those two gaming divisions, apparently neither of them knew.
They're like, we're doing what now?
Yeah, that's Sony and Microsoft. Sony and Microsoft are working together. Xbox and PlayStation did not know that they would be working together.
Ooh, that is...
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
That's weird. I mean, it's possible that they just didn't get around to telling them before the story broke or something, and they were going to tell them, later or something, and they're like, by the way...
I mean, it's true, but then, the fact that they were left out of negotiations or whatever, or discussions, seems strange to me.
I mean, maybe they thought it's just regardless of whether they wanted, it's well, this is beneficial for the company as a whole, so you're either on board or you have to just get over it, because it's happening anyway. So,
I guess so. So, yeah, that is an interesting development for the future of both of these platforms. Not really sure what it means. I guess what it means is that Microsoft makes money whether or not they are, leading in subscribers, or PlayStation is leading in subscribers. because they get paid either way.
Kind of like letting them use the Blu-ray thing.
This thing. So Wall Street Journal reported on Saturday that publishers are paying live streamers big money to play their games. Rates depend on how big the streamer is, but the ones with around 15,000 concurrent viewers per stream can get $25,000 to $30,000 per hour during big game launches, with top celebrity streamers like Ninja getting as high as $50,000 an hour, according to talent and marketing agents that work with streamers.
That's
yeah,
ridiculous.
it's a lot of money. Some publishers named in the report, EA is doing this, of course, Ubisoft, Activision, and Take-Two, with Take-Two reportedly planning to pay a large number of streamers to play Borderlands 3 during its September launch. We need a piece of that.
That's a bit like ridiculous though, because it's like some of these companies are like having like these massive layoffs and stuff, but they can afford to pay streamers like tens of thousands of dollars an hour just like that's a bit ridiculous.
It is really crazy. I did see there was a tweet. Someone was like, oh, I wonder how it feels to be like an Activision employee who got laid off, and then to find out that the company had, paid one guy per hour their yearly salary.
Yeah, it's like, hey, that's, yeah. Especially considering that some of these employees have also worked like horrible hours in poor environments based on a lot of these stories that have broke recently. And it's like, it's a kind of a bad luck, because it's like, oh, you didn't have enough money to pay us a severance package or anything, but you had enough money to pay this guy $30,000 in 1 hour? Like, what kind of crap is that? So, yeah, that is, yeah.
I mean, it definitely is the company head who should be, because there were some people talking about how essentially they were pitting streamers against game developers, and I was like, you shouldn't really be that, because both people are, compared to CEOs and whatnot, are not making that much money.
You're making a yearly salary in an hour. I think you're good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true, but it's not like they're not making that much money every day.
Yeah, but you wouldn't need to. It's like the point is, it's like, again, you're making people's salary when you just stream for a few hours, and it's just like, all right, well, I'm good for the next year or so, because I played a video game for 3 hours. Meanwhile, these guys have worked 100 hours in a week, and then it's just like, so we're getting rid of you, and we're also not going to pay you severance, so good luck with life, and hopefully you land on your feet. So it's just kind of just like, I mean, don't get me wrong, the CEOs should be taking pay cuts too, because they're making ridiculous amounts of money too, and it's like, well, they're not the ones on the front lines doing stuff all the time. So it's like, there's just a lot of
money, dear boy, money.
It's just bad all the way around, because I've always said that celebrities and stuff get overpaid for what they do to begin with. Don't get me wrong, entertainment it's a nice distraction, but at the same time, it's like sometimes you hear these numbers and it's like, really? And then on top of that, I would read stories where people are some of these guys would be they're unsatisfied with their salaries, and I'm like some of these TV show stars would be like, oh yeah, I only make $60,000 an episode. I was like, that's more than most people's yearly salaries, and it's there's multiple episodes during a season, so that means you're still making pretty penny. So it's just sometimes I don't know, man. I don't know.
So Paul Tassi, or the guy who writes all the Destiny stuff at Forbes, he wrote an article about this, basically saying that streamers deserve the money that they make. And like I kind of agree with him because it's sort of like, celebrities are people who what they do sort of affects a large number of people. So like that number of people, like each person is only giving them a relatively small amount of money. And then, like that's where it's not because they're overcharging for their services. It's just like they are getting, they're just like hitting a lot of customers. Like they have a large customer base essentially. So like when streamers are getting paid $50,000 an hour, like they must be bringing in tons of business for those games. Like if you can imagine, like if, for example, Ninja brought in 3 million Fortnite players and they paid him like $200, that's not really fair, right?
I just like I understand that, but at the same time, again, that's like it's almost an offensive amount of money because it's like because I mean, don't get me wrong, they spend this kind of money on advertising anyway, but at the same time, it's like again, I go back to the way it's like the people on the other end that were treated, whereas it just doesn't seem like kosher business practices, because it's like I understand, like yes, they spend millions of dollars in advertising to get people to buy their products, so obviously yes, you want to, it's like I guess it's cheaper on that end, but it's at the same time it's like you're spending that kind of money to give to one person when you refuse to kind of spread it out to the people who actually made the game for you to even have this person play it in the first place. And it's like it just seems not good.
Yeah, like, but see where on that point, what I think is it's not that they paid the streamers too much. Like the developers should have been paid more, but it shouldn't have come out of the streamer's salary. It should have come out of some other place, preferably upper management, because they aren't taking. The reason they say upper management gets paid more is because they have more responsibilities. So like, really, doesn't responsibility mean like you have to deal with the consequences? But they never deal with the consequences. It's always like,
as someone in the lower end of management,
all these people, yeah.
I can tell you that's not true. So it's like, as someone who is not upper management, I can tell you that we're the ones who do all the heavy lifting, and it's like, it's not,
yeah.
I just think, just all around though, regardless, it's just like, many people could be taking pay cuts in these scenarios. So it's just like, it just kind of, I don't know. And while they're not playing it every day, it's again like those few hours that they're getting this, it's like it still would have them set for a while, and they would still be continually getting these things from these companies. So it's not like it's, I mean, over a year's time, the number of hours they've probably have racked up in these games that they're advertising would result in like millions of dollars. And it's like, I mean,
well, generally it's not, they don't continuously pay them. So usually I think these sort of arrangements are like during launch windows. So for example, I don't know if this has ever been confirmed, but the word on the street was that Ninja got paid $1 million to play Apex Legends during that week that it launched.
But he probably wasn't the only one, is the thing. It's like I mean, they probably didn't get paid as much, but is
right.
Like other like hired
like the one guy. So that's like 20 hours that week. If 50,000, is that right? I don't
I
know.
mean, either way, he got paid $1 million
yeah,
for a week of
like-
work, so it's not really. I mean, let's keep things in perspective here. Like,
But it's not like, every week, like every time he plays, it's like, oh, here's another 50. It's like, oh yeah,
At
I
that point, he
played
doesn't
another
need it.
30 hours this week. It's like, okay, here's another $150,000.
But I'm saying is that they would
No,
have
$1.5
paid
million.
out. They would have paid out a large sum of money within this launch week because like I said, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure they didn't pay just the one streamer to do this. It would have been like probably multiples of them, and it's like, yes, they all wouldn't be making the same level of money, but I mean, once it's all said and done, during that week, millions of dollars were spent. So, it's just not. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, okay, so that's one aspect of this. The other aspect was also in the Forbes article about streamers deserving it. He wrote, "If I said that Activision paid me $100 to give a good score to the new Call of Duty, I would be instantly blacklisted. And yet streamers can take tens of thousands of dollars, millions even, to serve as literal hype machines for new games, and their audiences are more loyal to them than ever."
It's true.
It's really
That's
funny.
another. Because I was going to say that's an.
I think that's but I think that's kind of like what influencers do though. Like they aren't actually like critiquing the product. They're just like using it and sampling it in front of like the people that would also be using it.
But they also wouldn't be saying any of the bad things that would come out in like these reviews or articles as well, because like you said, if you're being paid to give a good review, then you're also not going to be saying these
all the
these
bad
things. So it's like they're
yeah.
basically like video versions of these things, or it's like, well, I'm not going to tell you about the horrible technical bugs that'll destroy your machines and all this stuff, but this is the best game ever, guys, and you should love playing it. So it's like it's no different from them paying a journalist to give a good review, but like he was saying, like he wouldn't get anywhere near as much to do so, and if he did, he would.
But if you're watching someone play a game, you can like see it for yourself to like see any.
It wouldn't matter because people are blinded by the hype when it comes to stuff like that. That's the whole point of like the whole streaming culture. It's like these people, they're too distracted by the personalities and what's going on to even realize if it's like, wait a minute, there's things wrong with this game that you're playing.
Not everybody, just the dumb kid users.
I don't know. See, so for me, right?
Or I wanna
Like,
believe
I
that's the
feel
case.
like there's a lot of games that are fine. Like, I think most games are fine these days.
Yeah.
There are much fewer like bad games, and so what makes a fine game into a game that you would buy? And I don't think most people know. Like, they don't know what would push them over the fence. And sort of the argument now is that live streamers, they're able to push people over the fence. Just because of, well, so one of the theories like that they wrote about in the Wall Street Journal is that people see streamers because they can see their faces. Like, they feel more trustworthy than a name that they don't recognize that wrote a review.
But that's not always the case though. On like a lot of sites, people have like their picture next to their name on their reviews.
Yeah, but for some reason, like, what's he write here? He writes, "Streamers feel like friends, and most journalists don't." Just like,
Well, that's what I was going back to, like the whole people being blinded by like the personality and stuff and everything. It's like,
I guess it's kind of true though, 'cause like when people are streaming, like one of the what's the word? Standards and practices is just like keep a happy face on and be happy, and not like go all ragey and hate things.
although even then that helps some people's personas as well. So
Yeah, like that is some people's brands, the angry gamer type.
yeah,
so many angry gamer types. But yeah, like I feel like because most games are fine, the reason that people don't buy them is because they don't even know they exist.
That is, yeah.
And so just to have a person out there playing it in front of, over 15,000 people, suddenly those people know that the game exists, and because it's fine, and then watching a guy playing it and presumably looking like he's having fun, that turns a fine game, which is like basically all games, into, oh, I'm going to go buy that game now.
Oh man, that's weird. Darkest timeline. Man, I like wonder there'd be like a Black Mirror episode about that where it's like someone's like streaming a game, but it's like against their will or something, or some like super insidious reason for like them to be streaming against their will, and then like they're like not really liking the game, but they're like making this money, and it's like they can't stop, and it's like they're stuck, and it's like, oh, it's like a whole thing. That'd be great.
Well, yes.
I hope that was the last news story to have another downer ending.
No, that is not the last news story.
Sorry, I keep doing that every week, guys. I'll just shut up for the rest of the news section.
The Hollywood Reporter this week reported that they have PlayStation has founded PlayStation Productions, their own production studio for adapting PlayStation's IP into other media, TV and movies.
New season of the Tester or GTFO. Or bring Powers
Apparently
back.
not.
I liked Powers.
Apparently. Apparently this is about making games into movies and TV shows, and they think that they can do it right because they were the ones who made the games. So, you know, like...
I guess in that logic, that's not... Their logic isn't, like, inherently flawed, but...
Like,
well,
and they
so
have
for example,
success with
like
making movies
Ubisoft,
and TV
they...
shows?
What was that?
Do they have success with making movies and TV shows?
PlayStation Productions?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't...
They
it
don't
just started
exist yet,
existing.
So Sony has...
I'm just saying, like, they only have like half the equation, so it's like, that's not how that works. Good luck with that, but whatever. I guess we'll see.
I mean, they're part of a massive media company. I'm sure they have people working with them that would, know what they're doing. So,
I mean, there's like a few things to cover with this. Like, first of all, you would assume that the people who made the games would understand the games better than if they did what
Just
most
had
other
some
companies
rando do
do.
it.
It's just like they license out, they hire out, and they just like, here's Uncharted. Go
Here's the
make an
property.
Uncharted movie, and we'll
I mean,
tell you
But
if
then
we
that-
like it or not.
That's like also annoying to me though, because like the game experience is always better. So it's like, why would I want a movie version? of
well,
this?
that's subjective. I mean, some people may prefer watching some things rather than playing them. Because I mean, like for instance, I'm not like a huge fan of Resident Evil, but like I enjoyed the movies for what they were, and it's like the only Resident Evil games I've actually like played was like 4, which don't even get me started on that. But it's just one of those things where it's like it kind of depends on how that like I said, that kind of stuff is subjective.
I mean, actual fans. I mean, it's okay to have something like adapted to a different medium, but most of the time it's like, I mean, we've been through enough of these to be like, really? Not. I'm totally skeptical on this, so it's. I guess I'll just wait and see. Whatever, man.
Well,
I mean, next week does have Castlevania, and that was a pretty sweet hit, I gotta say. I do enjoy me some Castlevania, the animated adventures.
yeah.
Season 1 anyway, because I haven't watched Season 2 yet.
Another thing I enjoyed watching and not played the games of, so find that out as well. So yeah.
Well,
Just saying.
so let's see. It's
Also,
Sean
like a
Layden's
man.
going to be overseeing this, along with Assad Kizilbash, who was, I think he was PlayStation Network or something. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, they're talking about. So Sean Layden says the real challenge is how do you take 80 hours of gameplay and make it into a movie? The answer is you don't.
It's a TV
What you
series.
do, well, what he says is what you do is you take that ethos you write from there specifically for the film audience. You don't try to retell the game in a movie.
Huh? I remember we had like a question a week about that, where it's like, if you adapted game XYZ, like what medium would you use? And I think most of the time we're like, it should be a TV show, because like movies are just not long enough. Like you need to like flesh
Too
it
much
out.
compressing stuff.
Yeah, you
I thought
cutting
about
too
this
much.
recently when I was watching someone play Metal Gear Solid, and it got me thinking again. It's like they should not make a Metal Gear Solid movie, because the reason Metal Gear Solid, the game, is cool is because it's a game that's like a movie. And if you make that into a movie, then it's just a movie that's like a movie, which is nothing. It's just a movie. Same with Uncharted, I think. Uncharted is like even more a game that's like a movie. But then, yeah, if you just do it directly, then it's just a movie that's like a movie. It's like, well, there's no point. But yeah, going back to this specifically, they just feel like this is the right time now for great game adaptations into movies, because a few years ago
I still think movies are
people
the way to go.
would not sign on to these kinds of projects, because they didn't feel like games were really movie material, I guess. And now a lot of directors and whatnot are gamers, and so they're more open to working on these types of things. Apparently, they've talked to a lot of film producers over the past year to sort of understand that side of the equation. He says, we looked at what Marvel has done in taking the world of comic books and making it into their biggest thing in the film world. It would be a lofty goal to say we're following their footsteps. But still, like, Marvel took the liberties by themselves. They didn't, it wasn't an Uwe Boll situation where he's just like, oh yeah, I'm just going to make it how I want it. I think there are reasons to be optimistic here. But yeah, it just started to exist. So
Sure, it'll be fine.
we don't know anything. They have nothing. They have nothing right now.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Until it isn't.
But yeah, it's different in the sense, like, Ubisoft had Ubi Film or something for a while, but it was never about making their own movies. They managed sort of the IP, and then other people made the movies. This situation is PlayStation Productions will actually make the movies, and Sony Pictures will work as they'll be the distributor.
We'll see.
So yes, it sounds pretty cool. And then finally, Puckman came out today, May 22nd, in Japan in 1980.
Oh, Pac-Man. I was like, what?
Yes. Primarily designed at Namco Limited by Toru Iwata and a team of just 9 people in about a year. Pac-Man would be released in the US in October of 1980 by Midway Games and go on to be quite popular.
Did he initially start as Paku Paku or something, and then go on this-
Yes, that thing from Scott Pilgrim is true. Partially. So there's a few stories about Pac-Man. Yeah, the Paku Paku thing, which was about, or Paku Paku,
Paku,
which is like the mouth flapping sound. But then they named it to Puckman because of sort of shaped like a hockey puck. And there's
But
that
then
story
I
about
realized-
how there was like the pizza and it was missing a slice, and he looked down and was like, oh my gosh, that's Pac-Man. But later, he said that it was only partially true. It was also just like the Japanese kanji for mouth. They just sort of rounded it out, and that's how it became that round circle shape for the character. And today I learned that apparently when the game came out, the critics were like, about it. Because the most popular games of the time were things like Space Invaders. and really sort of games where you shot stuff. And so Pac-Man not being one of those, they were just sort of like, I don't know if this is good or not.
But then they
They
realized
were-
eating things is awesome. So
Nope. They were just wrong.
also that,
In
I guess.
hindsight, they were like, oh yeah, most important game. I mean, first gaming mascot.
But I mean, were they wrong? Is Pac-Man actually good? Because I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, if we were to take off the nostalgia filter and really like look at the game objectively, it's like, was it good? Was it a good game? I mean, sure, the newer versions where they've added a bunch of crap to it is like fun and everything, but it's like, was it good though? Just something to think about.
I suppose. But yeah, happy birthday, Puckman. That is the news I had. Do you guys have any other news?
Well, a new trailer for Neo 2 just surfaced. So, it showed off some of the gameplay and also revealed that there's going to be a closed alpha this weekend. So, Koei Tecmo is sending out, or Team Ninja, one of them, is sending out like invites to only certain people for said alpha, and that's going to be happening this weekend. So,
What?
So yeah, that's a
amazing.
thing. But based on the gameplay trailer, it looks like they've really, they've done some changes. So that's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. That's almost the last
Tekken?
time I saw it.
Tekken, you see anything else?
Nothing I can remember that was worthwhile.
All right. Well, going by every other podcast I've heard this week, we're going to talk Game of Thrones. Did you watch Game of
Ew.
Thrones?
I've
I
never
have
seen an episode.
never seen Game of Thrones.
Neither have I. All right. So that's our Game of Thrones episode section.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening. Check us out at aimlesspodcast.com where you can download the podcast and also on YouTube. We are there. Follow us on Twitter to know some stuff.
I did play the Telltale
yeah.
game though, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Too bad
Oh,
I
yeah,
made another one.
hey.
So
I only played one
Yeah,
episode of
yeah.
that, and things seemed like they were not going well, so...
They
it gets
do
worse.
not.
It gets worse.
Oh, wonderful.
So yeah. Anything to say before we sign off, RPG?
Give me an alpha key, guys.
Anything to say before we sign off, Tropical?
I would like RPG to have an alpha key.
Yay!
Alright, so yeah, until you hear from us again, name's Bubblesy. We're now signing off.